Okay, we're going to use POSCA pens to color in the remaining. Now, if you are picking the color for your name, I encourage you to pick a light color. So either light blue, yellow, or pink. They're the only sort of 3 light colors I would suggest. In this case, I'm going to do yellow. Now, whenever you're shaking, make sure you shake with the lid on. The great thing about the POSCA is that they're thinner, and if you have done really thick black lines, the POSCA pen can go over it and just give you some space. Keep in mind that if you put, they are paint pens, so if you put yellow and blue together, they will turn green. So white, and thankfully again, I'll go over my black lines again near the end. So I start with the light color. Now, because we are sharing these packets, I want you to do like everything you think you will use in color. So I'm actually going to also color the big explosion yellow as well. Okay, now we don't have an orange. If I do, we might look in the any of the spare pen set, we might have some. But to make up orange, the red is a great darker shadow. So I'm just putting darker tones on the bottom. And again, I'm going to also put them, because red and yellow do make orange. So if you want to turn it orange, you can always go, you should be able to go over it with the POSCA pen while the red's still wet. And that should help you. Now again, I'm just going to keep the shadow. Again, I want to shake it, put the lid back on, and if you press down, the paint should go into the tip of the pen. Careful you don't do that too much, because it will accidentally flood your background. Now I'm going to Now I'm conscious that you guys will be using these after me, so I don't want to do it too much because it will dirty the end of my POSCA pen. But it should, see, this is dried a little bit. If you do, make sure you wipe away the discoloration on a piece of paper. So because I've done yellow and oranges, I'm actually gonna stick to a warm color theme. So that means pinks, that means reds, and then white and black. So I'm actually gonna make, so you should be able to see here, these are brand new, so you're gonna shake them. And then when you press, the ink will slowly flood to the tip of the brush. There we go. I plan on going over my black again at the end. I would very much avoid using a black POSCA pen until the absolute last minute, because again, like black paint, it can easily ruin an artwork. And because it's the darkest color, it's very hard to remedy. So if you notice, I cut in first to go around your letters before you sort of fill a lot of the space in. I'm also going to make pink the out. Something to think about too is the edges. Once your main deck is, you got to think about what color you'll do your edge. Now some colors I'll add tone to, some because I'm going to do these spikes as red. I'm not going to add tone to the pink like I would if I was doing, say, a different color. So I'll focus on highlights, but I might put some red around here. To add that. Get back to that. Very subtle. Okay. Now you might need it to dry a little bit before you bring in the black. Actually, I'm going to do white first. And start adding some highlight. Just a little bit to the tips of my letters. Just mostly focusing on the top. What you can't see is I'm just wiping the pink off the top of the POSCA pen on a spare piece of paper. You should do that on newspaper until you don't see any of that color. All right. You might choose to use a hairdryer just to dry your lines to make sure that there's nothing the black. The very last, adding This is the problem with doing the same colors straight away. I just thought forgot what shape and what was tone. Now again, I'm gonna add shadow all to the bottom, just like my letters. So you notice where it's wet, it's not making the black so thick because it's still wet paint. Just, you don't need to go through every Alright, I'm even going to, once they've dried, go around these. But it needs to dry a little. So that is our Pop Art Style Deck Art.